Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel Decode English with Supriya. So today's topic is the poem The Road Not Taken. It's a very famous poetry from an American poet Robert Frost. So let's begin with the detailed explanation of the poem. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. And be one traveler long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. So the poet says that he's standing somewhere between two roads which are diverging, which are moving towards two different roads in a yellow wood. Your wood represents a forest, and why yellow? Because it's a time of autumn. Does autumn resemble something over here? Yes. Autumn tells that something is going to end, something is going to begin. And sorry, I could not travel both. The poet feels that it is his uh, incapacity of traveling both the roads as he is a single traveler. So, being one person, obviously he cannot travel both the roads together. And be one traveler, long I stood and looked down one as far as I could. Whenever we start doing something, we try to look at the pros and the cons of the decision before we make the final decision. So here, poet is telling us that how he is trying to look onto everything from that particular diversion itself. He wants to make sure that whatever decision he takes will have a good end or at least a end which he would like to have in his life. And therefore he's saying that I'm looking down as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. What is undergrowth over here? It basically means the deep growth of the forest where everything comes out to be looking like which is dark and things are not very clear. So there are trees all along, and so he's trying to tell us that he's trying to look at every far possibility from there and there itself. Moving on with next. And then the other, as just as fair, and took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for the passing there had worn them really about the same. The poet is telling that then he took the other. What is other? Other is the second one because as just as fair, it seemed to be very fair to him to choose that road and having perhaps the better claim. He thinks that probably the second road is having a better claim. Is he very sure? No. How do we know that he is not very sure? Because he is saying perhaps. So he thinks perhaps it is having a better claim. And why he thinks so? Because we just saw that he was looking at the pros and the cons. He says, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Okay, so the road was grassier. It's obviously a metaphorical way of saying that something which is grassy is not really used up, right? And obviously, we see that it has been personified, the road has been personified, saying that the road was wanting wear, it wanted to be used. Can we say the poet is trying to tell us that, basically the road was calling him? Probably yes. Though, as for that, the passing there had warned them really about the same. He says that, it feels as if the people have passed through the first road and had worn them. The first road has been worn out really well. It was not just looking like, a normal one. The first road looks to be worn up. The first road looks like it has been used very oftenly, very usual. And both that morning equally lay. In leaves no step had trodden black. That morning when I was there, it seemed that, both the roads were looking equal to me. Because obviously, he doesn't want to get biased. So he's saying that, both the roads looked equal to me. Because it was morning, so it was misty. So he's saying that in leaves, there was no step that had trodden black. What is trodden black? That the footprints of any person is not visible. That morning, it looked like, it is all same. Oh, I kept the first for another day. As he started, he said that, he's a single traveler. He cannot travel both the roads together. So he's saying that I'm keeping the first road for another. Can we say that the poet is a little bit desperate to travel on both the roads? Yes. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. He knows that life is not somewhere where you can make your own decision always, right? He's telling that he doubts. He knows what how life leads its way. When you take a way, it is next to impossible to get back to that first place and then again come back. So he knows that this is not possible. So why he's saying this? Just to keep himself calm that yes, he's keeping the first for another day and he would travel on that road another day. I shall be telling with this with a sigh. Now, this word is very essential over here. This word sigh. Why do I say so? I'll tell you. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Now, when he tells with a sigh, as a reader, we generally end up thinking that probably, he was sad because this word sigh itself is related to sadness. It is not something which is going to show you happiness. At least we don't relate it is in English as happiness. But when he tells you that that has made all the difference, we may end up feeling that probably the poet is trying to tell us that, he thinks that the field, if we take this to be in a very literal sense, that probably whatever difference he made has made a drastic change in his life, that that decision has made a drastic change in his life. So probably he's happy. Now, he says that I shall be telling it with a sigh somewhere ages and ages hence. After ages and ages, I will be telling to everyone my story that, I was where two roads diverged in a wood and I took the one less traveled by. He's going to tell people that how he chose the less traveled by road and that has made all the difference. He feels that whatever he's doing, has made all the difference. Now, if you ask me, was this particular poetry about only the literal meaning which he has written? Probably not. I'm pretty sure when I was explaining you the each portion, you could connect it with something more. And that is where I say it has a deep figurative symbolism, a figurative way in which you can take this. Obviously, Frost is trying to tell us about life decisions in this poetry. This is not only about, traveling and choosing one road out of two that you have and making a decision of choosing a road. It is rather about making a decision in your life, a major life changing decision, where a person tries to, take that decision after thinking severally. Yes, I always tell that at the end when he says that that has made all the difference, you cannot consider or conclude saying that he was very happy with what was there with him, or neither can we say that he was sad about it. What I feel is deep down that Frost wants to tell us that we are responsible for whatever decision we take in life. It is very important to hold the position of accepting what decisions you are making. And probably this is a part where he's trying to tell us the same. This is what I keep telling, and I believe. Because if you see his several interviews, he has nowhere mentioned that, he's saying that he's very happy because he became a poet, or he's sad because of that word sigh. No, he never said so. And therefore, we keep it as a open ended thing, that whatever you feel like. But yes, it definitely tells us that we are responsible for our own decisions that we take. Moving. Okay, so now let's begin with a short summary of the poetry that we did. The poem begins with a traveler standing in the woods, faced with two paths, and both appear equally appealing to him that morning. The first path was more worn out and was covered with fallen leaves. The second path looked greener, and it was making a little difficult for the poet to make the choice. However, the traveler chooses the second path, which is greener, thinking they might return to take the other someday, and admits that, life's journey rarely allows us to go back and change our own decision. In the future, the traveler imagines telling others that he took the road less traveled by, suggesting that his choice had made a significant difference in his life. Again, I've used the word significant over here because we don't know if it is significantly good or significantly bad, but it is a significant, it's a life changing difference. And the poet reflects on decision making, the uncertainty of choices, and how people often give meaning to their past decisions. At times when you have already made a decision, and at a later stage, if you feel that, it worked out or it did not work out, you try to draw the conclusions at the end. And that is what he's saying, that we often try to give meaning to our past decisions. Right. So, though we don't have any time to just go back and reconsider, but yet, just to calm ourselves down, just to make ourselves believe that whatever we did was right, it is a way in which we draw conclusions for future. Moving on, we are going to see what are the key themes of the poetry. Obviously, the first has to be the choices and the consequences of the choices that we decide. The second has to be the uncertainty that, we really don't know where the roads are going to take us. The third is obviously the individuality versus convention, where we see that, the poet is not choosing something which is more common. He's going with something which he feels is going to be the right decision for him. And lastly, definitely reflection and meaning, that yes, it has to give you the meaning. If we talk about the figure of speech, first, the roads over here are definitely representing life choices, so it's a metaphor. There is symbolism where we see it is talking the road, the diversion is talking about a turning point, an important decision of a human's life, talking about unconventional and individual choices. We have a beautiful imagery of yellow wood and, grassy. When you read those words, you actually have a visual imagery in your head. So there is imagery of all these beautiful words, and there is definitely repetition in the fourth stanza of the line. The repetition of ages and ages has been there. There are more figure of speeches like personification, as we just discussed, that, the paths are given some human qualities, like, it is grassy and wanting wear, as if it is actually desiring something. At various places, you will find alliteration, that is repeating of consonant sounds, like wanted where, first for. There is anaphora, where we see in the first stanza itself, the second, third, and the fourth line, they start with the same word, and. So it's anaphora. And moving on with the other poetic device, the rhyming scheme. So the rhyming scheme for the poem is A B A A B. And if we talk about the mood, generally, mood is one thing where I feel that, students lack to write. You need to understand that the tone and the mood of this poetry is basically reflective and thoughtful. He's trying to make us think about our own life decisions. So, yes, this is something which we should. So, thank you for being along with me, and please like and share the video if you liked it, and do subscribe to my channel for more similar content. Thank you. Bye bye.